What's happening is that the doors to people's hearts are opening, that your heart center, your heart chakra, if you will, which spins in greenish yellow, that's the color of grass in the botanical world. That color of grass is that color because of 528. In fact, you would not have 5,280 feet in a measured mile if it wasn't for 528. You wouldn't have circles. You wouldn't have any sacred geometry. You wouldn't have pyramids. Pyramids are intimately constructed based on the mathematics of pi, phi. You wouldn't have pi or phi without 528. In other words, you wouldn't have anything without love.
Welcome back, everybody, to the last part in the series of reading the book of 528. This has been such a divine series. Shout out to everybody who's here live. Thank you for being live here on YouTube. Shout out to everybody who is here on TikTok as well. I'm so excited for this. Let me get on 528 for everybody, and I'll make sure it's good for YouTube volume. So hopefully that's a good volume for everybody. I'm going to turn that a little bit down on my speakers. But like I said, this is the very last reading of the book of 528 that we're going to be doing on this channel. I guess necessarily it isn't the last part of the series, as tomorrow we are going to be interviewing the author, Dr. Leonard Horowitz. Shout out to whoever just subscribed. I don't know why we get those sounds, but shout out to you. But like I said, we're going to be interviewing Dr. Horowitz tomorrow at the same time that we just started. So in 24 hours, we're going to be live here interviewing the author of this book, which is absolutely mind-blowing, and I'm doing my best to continue to get over my nerves for that. But I'm super excited and super honored and grateful to be in this position to be able to orchestrate something to help get as much information as we can out of Dr. Horowitz, especially in this time as we're making this transition within the next few days on December 21st. I think it's just such a divinely timed interview. So I'm super excited. And I'd like to invite anybody who is watching here live, or if anybody is watching in the future, potentially before the interview tomorrow, if you have any questions that you've had kind of occur or come up during the reading or watching of this series, please leave those comments either in the YouTube chat. I don't know if I'll see them. I'll do my best to see in the TikTok chat, but if you have a question you really want answered that you don't think I saw, please DM me on Instagram or on TikTok or somewhere. Please get that message to me, because again, that's going to be in 24 hours. So I'm going to be doing my best to kind of create data. I don't want to overwhelm him with questions. I really want to give him a platform to be speaking what he feels most necessary is to speak right now, as he's doing so much work on the front lines. But today we are finishing the appendix of the book of 528. It's going to be about 60 pages until the end. So we're going to be going for about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. So shout out to all of you. Thank you for being here with me right now. It'd be great if you're here with me at the end, but I totally understand. Emmett, shout out to you. Thank you for being here. Shay, shout out to you. Thank you for coming back in here. Yes, this is happening. This is really happening. And it's gotta calm down. But for everybody, again, this is the last time we're going to do this. For those of you who have gotten potentially tired of this, I hope you haven't gotten tired of this dedication. This dedication truly has so much power in these words, and that's why I speak them every time we start a new series, or sorry, not series, but video within the series, because this is kind of the mission statement of 528 and the mission statement of this book that we're reading. So I will read this dedication, and if anybody is new in here on TikTok, can you like raise your hand? Use that hand emoji, just to know who else is new here. It's always great to see new faces, and shout out to everybody who is here. If you are new or have been here before, thank you all so much for being here, and we will start reading this dedication. The Book of 528, Prosperity Key of Love, may be the most important book in history, following the Holy Bible and Aristotle's physics that birthed modern religions and science. The divided worlds of science and religion shall merge from this knowledge of 528, the musical, mathematical frequency of spiritual energy fundamental to space and time. 528 unites every field, illuminating love for the enlightenment of humankind. 528, the universal love constant, manifests miracles from love, and makes love miraculous. 528 is responsible for the constant flow of love that heals and sustains people spiritually. The heart of this clear channel of music, 528 hertz on the universal dial, broadcasts you into existence every nano instant. These revelations compel civilization to build a new foundation and celebration of love that is sourcing, unifying, and guiding all creation. May this 528 key of the House of David facilitate civilization's salvation through spiritual evolution. So shout out to everybody that is in here. We have 2 hands in here. We have 3, 4 hands. Shout out to all of you. Thank you all for showing up and for tuning into this. We really appreciate your energy being here. We are going to go right into the appendix. If you'd like to think about the appendix is it's really putting together new hypotheses using the information that is introduced in the chapters. So if you'd like to catch up on what's going on in the chapters, we have this available on YouTube in a playlist. All of the chapters are up there, including the introduction and preface. If you'd like to understand how these hypotheses are putting together, there's a lot of math and science that was involved in those chapters to prove that 528 is what he is saying it is and is what these hypotheses are saying. But that's kind of what this appendix is to take it a step further than the things that were introduced inside of the chapters. But again, shout out to everybody who's coming in here. Thank you all for being here live. Thank you all for being interested. Let's begin the last part, second half of the appendix. Commercializing 528. Some people criticize me for commercializing 528 and virtually all of my research. Every journalist, medical researcher, or serious scientist needs sponsors, so commercializing 528 products and services helps pay the bills, and more importantly, supports companies advancing a healthier paradigm based on these awesome revelations and related applications. Also, if you had such great news to herald, you would want to do your best to apply this sacred knowledge most wisely and beneficially every way possible, including products. Besides the above, the Bible promises a swift shift in wealth from the wicked to the meek in these end times. Although I have primarily focused on service to God, family, and community, I would love to steward the world's wealth on behalf of love and peace versus endless fears and wars. The 528 Love Revolution proclaims freedom from ignorance and genocidal slavery administered by the Illuminati, their abuse of wealth, and centuries of demoralizing, degenerating petrochemical pharmaceutical poisoning of we the people and our planet. Aside from this, you don't even see the coverage of the above information on network television or Hollywood films. The revelations in this book and subsequent products and promotions have come exclusively through independent researchers and entrepreneurs in the grassroots, and indeed, they should be for the sake of we the people. With the promise of freedom, I encourage everyone to consider creative ways of transmitting sounds, developing products and services that integrate 528 hydrosonics. Investments in 528 research and developments are now advancing many scientific fields, including biophysics and energy medicine. Here are some great examples. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of water and silver resonating with 528 that is capable of terminating people's reliance on big pharma, toxic antibiotics, and deadly vaccines. The 528 prayer power in Oxysilver merges theology with science-based healing technology. 528 resonating jewelry is now available. Attractive bracelets, rings, pins, and pendants that generate 528 energy for healing. 528fashions.com is evolving to provide attractive clothing that lifts your spirits and promotes healing by balancing your energy fields. 528 musical instruments are in production and will help spread the good vibrations. And 528 radio to provide an alternative to the toxic music you now receive over standard AM and FM stations. Consider the fact that these industries expand, so will the waves of love 528 radiate out to touch the hearts of billions of people worldwide. What if millions of people donated their transposed music into 528 on i528tunes.com? Kick the old violent world goodbye. The signal of love shall surely grow. This is a quick call out to any musicians that are in here. Thank you all for being in here. You can get this jewelry if you go to 528fashions.com. I believe that's where you can get that. But this is a call to any musicians, and this kind of part is dedicated to all musicians. Synthesizer retuning to the perfect circle of sound. Implications for bioenergetic healing and chakra balancing by Michael Walton and Leonard G. Horowitz. So this is like an essay that is a co-essay. A co-authored essay. In this preliminary study, a synthesizer was retuned to the perfect circle of sound, PCOS, in advance of investigations measuring neurophysiologic responses in humans to varying frequencies of sound. 528 Hz, a central waveform in the original solfeggio musical scale, was used to begin construction of an octave determined to most reasonably approximate a standard melodious scale. Among the PCOS notes, only 417 and 741 Hz frequencies required exclusion due to lacking melody within the scale. This study evidences standard tuning in A440 Hz frequency includes the 741 Hz F-sharp frequency in the solfeggio, bioenergetically degrading to the chakra system as a whole below the throat energy center. The chance this precise association between the ancient and modern scales might have happened by chance versus sinister imposition is discussed. Suppose you awakened one morning to find everything you previously viewed was was down, and needed to relearn to walk on the floor you previously knew was the ceiling. This task would be daunting, yet compelling. In 1998, authors Horowitz and Palaio advanced a set of musical frequencies now confirmed to be the original solfeggio scale and fundamental to pi, phi, the Fibonacci series, sacred geometry, cosmology, and spiritual metaphysics. From this work, Horowitz suggested standard musical tuning in A440 Hz subjects listeners to chronic agitation, bioelectric degeneration, and may inhibit psychosocial maturation and spiritual evolution. Alternatively, 528 Hz frequency, identified as the mi or miracle note in the ancient scale, together with 639 Hz fa or family tone, form the heart of the original solfeggio. As central to the musical mathematical matrix fundamental to universal design, these frequencies may play a vital role in balancing and harmonizing bioenergy fields and chakra systems impacting human health and psychosocial behavior. Here we advance a theory that logically discerns 528 Hz frequency is the scale with which chakra tuning and holistic healing is best administered. This theory posits all architecture is based on solid foundations. As 528 Hz is central to pi, phi, the Fibonacci series, sacred geometry, the electromagnetic sound and light spectrums, and the heart of the musical mathematical matrix of creation, then bioenergetic or biospiritual therapies for holistic healing would best begin using this foundational frequency. Definitions are required for intelligently discerning this potentially evolutionary concept in holistic healing and chakra tuning by hydrosonic stimulation. The following terms are thus defined: scale, frequency, tone, pitch, and resonance. Scale is defined in music as an ascending or descending collection of pitches proceeding by a specified scheme of intervals. In Western music, the diatonic octave scale was used first and includes the pitches or notes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, or C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Notice the first and eighth notes are the same within the octave and are one octave higher or lower in pitch. So there are really only 7 unique primary notes in each octave. Frequency is defined in acoustic science as the number of times that a periodic function repeats the same sequence of values during a unit of variation of the independent variable. In other words, using the Western world standard tuning of A440 Hz and the C scale beginning with the C note, the A pitch occurs once in this octave, and the C pitch occurs twice in this octave. Additionally, a frequency is defined in music and electronics as the number of repetitions of a periodic process in a unit of time, the number of complete oscillations per second of energy in the form of waves. A tone is defined as a vocal or musical sound, its quality or an intonation, pitch, modulation, etc., of the voice that expresses a particular meaning or feeling. Pitch is defined in music as the musical frequency of vibration, rate of vibration, or a tone. Standards of pitch include concert, classic, high, low, international, French, Stuttgart, Philharmonic, philosophical. Remember that all three pitches, C1, A, and C2, were in the A 440 Hz scale, even though you might think they could not be because they sound different. So the pitch is the unit of variation of the independent variable in every scale of music. Previous discoveries compel us to experiment with C equals 528, wherein ideally the octave of pitches, all the notes in a scale of C 528 Hz, are all in C 528 Hz. This is difficult to grasp for most people because the notes, or pitches, sound different yet are on the same frequency scale. Yet, this is practically unrealistic considering such increased tension on strings using 528 Hz rather than 440 Hz tuning would break the neck or strings of most instruments. Alternatively, Walton determined that tuning up to A 444 Hz includes the pitch of C5 equals 528 Hz. He thus provided a practical tuning with which music can be made in the key of C, vibrating 528 Hz for experimental purposes affecting the chakra system. To summarize this important point, in all tunings, the notes are variations of pitch within each scale that, like each scale, are characterized by a unique frequency of vibration, commonly measured in cycles per second, or Hertz frequencies. And even though each pitch within each scale and octave vibrates and sounds differently, each pitch vibrates in harmonic resonance with a particular tuning used, such as A 440 Hz, wherein as F sharp is 741 versus A equals 444 Hz, that sets C5 at 528 Hz. For those of you on TikTok, if that didn't make sense to you, basically what he's saying is that I'm gonna read this and then I'm gonna show on camera if that makes sense. I'm gonna reread this sentence just to further what he's saying. To summarize this important point, in all tunings, the notes are variations of pitch within each scale that, like each scale, are characterized by a unique frequency of vibration, commonly measured in cycles per second or Hertz frequencies. So what he's saying in that is that in all tunings, these notes are going to be different frequencies, and if you change the tuning, these notes also change frequencies. And even though each pitch within each scale and octave vibrates and sounds differently, this pitch sounding different than this pitch, these are all harmonically resonant with a particular tuning. So if I'm tuned to 440, all of these are harmonically resonant with 440. If I'm tuned to 444, they are all harmonically resonant with 444, which also brings you into harmonic resonance with 528. So I wanted to re-say that just in case that helped anybody understand what that 2 paragraphs was about. Resonance is defined in acoustics as the intensification and prolongation of sound, especially of a musical tone, produced by sympathetic vibration. And in physics, the definition of resonance is the increase in amplitude of oscillation of an electric or mechanical system exposed to a periodic force whose frequency is equal or close to the natural undampened frequency of the system. This definition of resonance is important in the physics of healing, and especially in this paper's theory that sound therapies best incorporate the original solfeggio vibrations featuring C equals 528 Hz. The reason for this is reiterated. 528 Hz has been proven to be the heart of the rainbow or electromagnetic light spectrum. It is believed to be the heart of the full sound spectrum, as well as inaudible frequencies that are included in the analysis. In other words, 528 is the heart of the universe, or musical mathematical matrix of the cosmos. This is why there are precisely 5,280 feet in a measured mile, and 528 is the most important variable in geometry and physics. It is potentially beneficial to enable the human being to vibrate in sync with the universe. Thus, this 528 Hz central frequency is potentially beneficial, as is building therapeutic systems or protocols based on C equals 528 Hz frequency. Theoretically, the 528 frequency is most likely to cause an increase in amplitude of oscillation of chakras, or spinning bioenergy vortices, within the human body exposed to these waveforms, since this frequency is very close to the natural undampened frequency of the energetic universal system. Basically saying that when you play this frequency is going to increase the amplitude of oscillation of all your chakras, or increase the energy that is going into them. Moving into the next passage, methods and materials. So this is again back out to all the musicians that are in here, and shout out to you if you aren't in here. In order to micro-tune a Korg Oasis synthesizer, the Perfect Circle of Sound tuning fork set manufactured to generate the precise frequencies of the original solfeggio musical scale, plus 3 additional tones required to complete the circle, was used. Each fork was repeatedly struck to determine its near-precise frequency and pitch, or tone. Tones were measured initially using a standard core chromatic tuner. These tuners maintained an adjustable range of 426 to 451 Hz frequency. Later, more precise frequencies were determined using the master tuning display of the synthesizer. The table below lists the Korg's readings for each of the 9 PCOS frequencies. Using the conversions in Table 1, the Korg Oasis was retuned one key at a time, beginning with the middle C, using the 528 Hz equivalent in standard tuning. Walton observed and used A443.06. A444 is generally suggested. Since pianos are tuned beginning with middle C, a new 528 Hz scale was built with subsequent pitches selected among the PCOS frequencies, mimicking the tonal quality of a normal octave, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. From this, it was determined that 417 Hz and 741 Hz did not fit the scale or sound harmonic to the sequence. Next, to determine if the PCOS scale correlated with previously advanced frequencies associated with the chakra system, Walton arranged the set of 7 pitches beginning with C equals 528. In ascending order as per the 7 main chakras as shown in figure 19, the Hertz frequency equivalents this time were derived by dividing each PCOS frequency listed by 2 as needed to enter the range of frequencies published by previous authors to correspond to each chakra and chakra color. For example, the base chakra vibrates at 256 according to Hero. 1 octave down is determined by dividing 256 by 2, which equals 128 Hz that falls in the C range of frequencies. By taking 528 Hz and dividing it by 2 twice yielded 264 Hz and 132 Hz respectively. From this analysis, Walton established the right-hand column of frequencies in figure 19. The results are the solfeggio scale notes Re at 417 Hz and So at 741 Hz were not melodious enough to be suitable for selection in a scale based on C set at 528 Hz. So let's discuss this a little bit. A Google search of heart chakra frequencies for therapy returns nearly 250,000 links to myriad articles and inventions claiming various frequencies are best suited for healing applications. How is anyone able to make such claims or discern anything reliably? This thesis may help. According to Horowitz, human beings are fundamentally digital bioholographic crystallizations of frequency vibrations rendered hydrosonically and metaphysically. I'm going to say that again. I am going to say it again. According to Horowitz, human beings are fundamentally digital bioholographic crystallizations of frequency vibrations rendered hydrosonically and metaphysically. The authors suggest two main factors determined efficacy of acoustic therapy systems, including chakra-based tuning systems. One main factor is the heartfelt loving intent of the therapist as well as the patient. This relates to investigations of prayer associated with beneficial outcomes best explained by theories in quantum physics, creative consciousness, and creationistic metaphysics. And two, the actual frequencies used. Regarding the frequencies for chakra tunings, Walton's experimental protocol used the PCOS featuring a central harmonic triad of 528 Hz, 852 Hz, and 285 Hz. The base chakra was tuned to 132 Hz, i.e., middle C 2 octaves below 528 Hz. Both 132 and 128 Hz were identified by Barbara Hero as root chakra resonating frequencies observed to elicit effective neuromuscular therapy. We propose an attenuation differential between reception and transmission of frequencies is expected since incoming energy in frequencies would be slowed as the acoustic waves move through body structures such as proteins. So C 132 Hz going in could reasonably be C 128 Hz exiting the body. This area of research and development is in its infancy, and there are many questions to be answered, such as from whence cometh a 440 Hz. The American Federation of Musicians, AFM, is credited for standardizing A440 in 1917, but it was not universally accepted after 1920, according to Lehman, and 1939 in England, according to Kavanagh. Among the most interesting and controversial questions raised by the results of this pilot study is whether or not A, set to 440 Hz, was a sinister imposition by the AFM on behalf of special interests. Walton discovered that the note F sharp in the 741 Hz solfeggio scale is identical to A in standard 440 Hz tuning. This finding is especially odd and incriminating since the interval between 528 Hz and 741 Hz in musicology is known as the devil's interval because of its dissonant quality, or severe disharmony. The probability that this occurred by chance is too remote to conclude anything other than those advancing A440 must have known about the original solfeggio and the devil's interval peak frequency 741. After all, these scales are foundational to Western music. Major and minor scales derive from medieval and Renaissance periods when two of seven modes formed by diatonic scales began on each of the seven notes of the octave. By the start of the Baroque period, the notion of musical key was established based on a central triad rather than a central tone. Major and minor scales came to dominate until at least the start of the 20th century, partly because their intervallic patterns are suited to the reinforcement of a central triad. During the earliest 20th century, the Rockefeller Foundation's funding of the arts and sciences, including the most influential organizations and institutions in America, played formative roles in medicine and modern music. For instance, this research and paper would not be possible were it not for Windows software by Microsoft Bill Gates, whose grandfather, Frederick Gates, was John D. Rockefeller's chief business and philanthropic advisor during the formative years of AFM. This is when John D. Rockefeller began funding and influencing the arts while monopolizing medicine. I'm just going to reiterate that again. Bill Gates' dad worked for the Rockefeller Foundation. Not only did he work for AFM, he also worked for Planned Parenthood. Please look into that if that's interesting to you. Advancing a pseudoscientific survey called the Flexner Report, these wealthiest industrialists directed the U.S. Congress to condemn natural healers, including naturopaths, chiropractors, and acupuncturists. Thereafter, medicine's cultural infusion, monopolization, and profitable pharmaceutical intoxication of populations was secured by the Rockefeller family with substantial direction by globalists Dr. Frederick Gates and John Mott, both evangelical Freemasons. Much has been written about the insidious connections between the financial world's cryptocracy and Freemasonry, in which glaring examples of secreted knowledge involving sacred geometry and musical mathematics adorn regalia and even American currency. A recent analysis by mathematician Scholl presents proof the 528 Hz frequency uniquely enables the sacred geometry of pyramid cosmology and Freemasonry, as shown in Figure 10. I know that was a lot of words, everybody, but let's get into the summary and conclusions of why all of that was just presented. A pilot investigation was undertaken to establish a protocol for acoustic therapy engaging chakra balancing. 528 Hz frequency was reasoned to represent the C note in the octave, beginning at the root chakra. While determining a harmonic octave, the solfeggio frequencies 417 and 741 were not found to be melodic and unfavorable for this experimental scale. 741 Hz frequency, most suspiciously, was measured to be the F-sharp equivalent in the A440 Hz standard tuning. It appears certain this institutionalized tuning favoring 741 Hz was done with knowledge about the devil's tone, aversive impact on bioacoustics involved in natural healing and homeostasis. Additional research in this field is encouraged. So that is the essay between Horowitz and Walton. We have some commentary on that recent essay. Shout out to everybody coming in here. Electric Lotus, shout out to you. Thank you for coming in here. Thank you to everybody who's here live with me right now. We'll keep going. This is commentary on Scholl's and Walton's findings. So I'm guessing this is from Horowitz talking more about what we were just talking about. Given the aforementioned revelations regarding 528, including the precise musical mathematics central to secret society, metaphysics, and sacred geometrics, weighty evidence suggests malfeasance in the establishment of A440 standard tuning. Surely, 528 would have been a more harmonious option for standard tuning and phase locking with nature. From what we now know, the creative mathematics and physics compels retuning to A440 Hz, since C5 at 528 Hz is the equivalent of A444 Hz, and only 4 Hz higher than A440 Hz. Plus, the utility of A444 Hz was best expressed by Lewin S. Lloyd in the Journal of the Royal Society of Arts in 1949, during his published protest against the British Standards Institute's choice of A440 Hz for standard orchestral tuning. According to Walton's protocol, when tuning chakras to a scale beginning with C equals 528 Hz, the F-sharp pitch plays between the heart and throat chakras, as shown in Figure 19. So if there was a place in music to energetically sever the superhuman intuitive heart from the human head, it would be here. This is the additional justification for rejecting A440 Hz tuning. Furthermore, previous investigators attribute human will function, including strength of will, to this energy center called the throat chakra. Vocalizing one's feelings and needs assertively, not passively or aggressively, is important for psychosocial health and well-being. It is reasonable to theorize A440 Hz standard tuning destabilizes the higher heart and throat energy centers. This would be expected to produce significant socio-cultural stress. Such musical institutionalized stress was willfully chosen, as evidenced by the fact that 741 Hz, the SO and F-sharp note in the PCOS, expresses exclusively in the A440 Hz standard tuning. The 417 Hz, 741 Hz, and 174 Hz together comprise a central triad within the PCOS. Curiously, the 417 and 741 notes are the only two tones disharmonious to Walton's healing scale, beginning with C as 528 Hz as depicted in Figure 19. These two exclusions, Re 417 and So 741, in the original solfeggio, Webster's dictionary defines as resonance and solve the problem or pollution. So the opportunity to resolve or resolve humanity's problems and pollutions may come from examining and integrating this knowledge in heart chakra balancing and musical metaphysics featuring 528 versus 741. When a 440 Hz tuning was institutionalized throughout the Western world, since music is so popular and culturally important, there is a high probability this policy caused widespread distress through the imposition of a scale dissonant to native cultures, traditional tunings, including 432 Hz, and the central heart frequency expressing love vibrationally. Taxing human heart energy and will function, populations exposed to Western music were stimulated into high levels of stress. Following general acceptance of this tuning, dysfunction and degeneration resulted. Therefore, this music of the night, albeit energetically arousing to the head region versus the heart region of the body, may be a main reason civilization is so stressed and disenchanted by the materialistic paradigm. There is a dire need for more research and development in this field of musical mathematics applicable to therapeutics, environmental science, economics, and geopolitics. Key among these are the double-blind studies comparing the effects of different frequencies of sounds and colors on biology, physiologic parameters, and other objective measures. This preliminary investigation examined the 528 Hz frequency vibration fundamental to the primary 9-frequency matrix of matter and energy. The investigators sought to create a melodious scale beginning with C in 528 Hz that assigned solfeggio frequencies to a Korg and Oasis synthesizer keyboard. The probability that this scale may be useful in clinical applications for healing and chakra tuning demands further study. So if anybody needs a call to action. Shout out to everybody that's in here. Let me catch up. Well, I'm glad that we got somebody's helping typing out all my words. That's awesome. This is a call out to all musicians. If there's a musician in the room or anybody who is very into music, maybe you see yourself potentially making music as well, this is a call to you. This is a discussion to you. Musicians 528 discussion. Musicians worldwide have been inquiring about 528 and wondering about playing in the key of C5 equals 528 when instruments are tuned to A equals 444 Hz. This fascinating discussion has been hosted by volunteer Scott Nash, who kindly created a blog in support of Live H2O Concert for the Living Water. The author's contributions have been edited slightly for clarity. Okay. So this is a conversation, actually. It's a discussion between Scott Nash, or A.R. Hermes, I think is the name, and then between Dr. Horowitz. So why 528 Hz is sacred? A.R. Hermes. I can understand mathematically the numbers of the perfect circle of sound, how each of the 9 numbers relate, and other fascinating relationships the numbers have with each other. But how do the numbers on paper then translate to being sacred frequencies? Dr. Horowitz responds, sacred geometry is based on the mathematics of a circle. Take a circle. How many degrees are in it? 360. Why is this sacred geometry? Mathematically, it adds up to a 9, which is completion. 60 seconds in a minute, 24 hours in a day, it's all 3s, 6s, and 9s. Sacred. Each of the solfeggio frequencies are likewise 3s, 6s, or 9s. The 528 Hz frequency is fundamental to the geometry of the circle. It gives rise to the star's tetrahedron. Pi, phi, phi, Fibonacci series, the speed of light, the law of physics. Need more? A.R. Hermes says, Hertz is just a man-made invention to describe and divide sound vibrations, like time is used to describe and divide the movement of the stars and planets. How do the numbers correlate to sound vibrations as expressed in Hertz? More importantly, where is 528 Hz and the rest of the circle of sound found in nature and or the universe? Where can it be measured? Where it can be measured. Read Vic Scholl's analytical papers posted at www.love528.com under pi, phi, and 528, and then read Hydrosonics Journal online at hydrosonics.org. Also, look at a blade of grass or most of the botanical world. 528 Hz can be seen and measured in the green-yellow color transmitted to your eye. A.R. Hermes. I could draw a circle with 8 points and make 8 numbers that use values 1 through 8, then apply that to the corresponding Hertz tones if I chose to. That wouldn't make the frequency special just because something interesting was happening on paper, right? Right, says Dr. Horowitz. God works with the nines as completion. You are now in your rational egoic left brain. If your left brain wants to try 8, go ahead. You'll be 1 shy of complete. You won't get a perfect circle of sound. Why do you think I spent the time and money trademarking this? It is incredibly special. There is only one in the universe. It is God's fingerprint on everything. As math genius Marco Rodin says, God works holistically, circularly, with his heart mind. This is what Live H2O celebrated, getting this precious knowledge to humanity to save lives and our environment. A.R. Hermes says, I'm asking with an open heart and open mind. This is solely out of interest in the 528 research. In my studies of Indian classical music, it's not about using one tone or a fixed set of tones to bring the listener musician to awake in the present. It is about utilizing the appropriate raga based on the time of day and the time of year. A raga consists of a selection of notes out of the 12 major notes. Horowitz says again, notice how this is a 3. AR says, and there are also special rules to follow when transitioning from note to note, depending on the raga. When you match the raga correctly to the present, it's like finding the resonant frequency. It then makes it easier to transmute cosmic energy and healing in that moment, a moment being described by several frequencies, not just 1 or 9. Horowitz responds to, in essence, you are describing musically intoxicating divine harmony and synchrony. Nothing missing, nothing broken in the kingdom of heaven. It is the Holy Spirit flow you call several frequencies that creates healing through this cosmic energy zone. Really, it is very simple. The egoic, dumbed-down mind has trouble grasping such simple principles because of millennia of fear-based indoctrinations and egoic programming. This is why the entire culture of civilization must fall apart before it comes together as the greater whole. Whole note, round, circle, 360 degrees. Yes, living water, Emmett. Hermes says, I can understand people wanting to tune their instruments to incorporate all 9 of the frequencies, especially if they're being called the original solfeggio. Horowitz says, no, please do not do this. It will sound horrible, not melodious. Tune 1 string to one of the frequencies and then the rest to that one. Start with C5 in 528 Hertz or A444 Hertz. Then tune all of the strings to that scale and you'll be tuned to that frequency and you can play it normally and melodiously. So we're going to explain that a little bit more. Hermes says, that was certainly what I initially thought the whole idea was. Horowitz says, no, sorry if we do not communicate this more clearly. A lot of people have trouble getting their heads around this concept. There's a difference between the scale frequency and pitch notes within the scale. The pitches and notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Add the sharps and flats, etc. Once tuned, like I'm telling you to do, say in 528 Hertz, all the pitches and notes are in the same 528 Hertz resonant frequency or 528 scale. So all of these are going to be different notes, right? If you can see, yeah, you can see on the computer. But if this is 528, then all of these are going to be in the 528 scale. So what he's saying, the question that was asked is, if you could tune the solfeggio frequencies to each one of these notes. But actually, when you play the solfeggio frequencies together, they are dissonant altogether because they each have their own tuning scale because they create their own energy center. So they're each like their own vortex. You can't like bring all the vortexes together. They each have their own specific reason and specific tuning. So I just wanted to further that because that was a little confusing the first time I read that around, but it makes sense now. Hermes says, after getting all 9 of the tones tuned pretty close on an electric keyboard, it was pretty obvious that there were some limitations in incorporating more than a couple notes at a time, let alone making chords and such with several notes. Doing it by adjusting the master tune to obtain 528 or 417, etc., and keeping the normal relationship with the other notes that the same definitely works, but then how are you using the full circle of sound? You aren't using, this is what Horowitz says, you are not using the full circle of sound when you tune exclusively to 528 hertz. I would not tune my instrument to all solfeggio scale frequencies to play music. It is okay to do this for experimental curiosity, but not playing music. We did the same thing you did and drew the same conclusion. We are using the different tones and scales for different therapeutic objectives, such as chakra tuning and meridian balancing. So here is kind of the work that they did. It's starting to show how they got to where they did. It's basically what this is saying is you should be tuning to one chakra center when listening to music. Or you can, I think there's a couple there saying that harmoniously link, but it is hard to get the perfect circle of sound all within a scale, let alone two solfeggio frequencies, as they are separate energy centers. Tuning stringed instruments to 528. Jamie, you are hearing 528 in the background. Shout out to you. Thank you for coming in here. To tune a guitar or a stringed instrument to the 528 hertz love frequency, simply to listen to the 528 pure tone generator that I provided online for free at love528.com, click play to hear the pure tone of 528, then retune your A guitar string at the 3rd C fret to the sound of 528 at C5 that you hear. Next, retune all your other strings to this string as usual. So he just gave a really cool link, or a really cool thing. If anybody is looking for a tone generator of 528 and you don't have a signal generator or frequency generator on your phone, if you haven't looked into that, there is a pure tone generator on love528.com. I'm going to highlight that for everybody on YouTube. But if you go to love528.com, there is a 528 pure tone generator that you will be able to listen to if you don't have a signal generator on your phone. Synthesizer clicking another link takes you to i528 tunes where you can transpose your music into 528 hertz. Yes. Synthesizer retuning instructions. If you wish to retune your synthesizer, there is a tutorial on YouTube that Michael Walton, Soma Magic Sound Engineer, and I produced. Please share this information with other musicians who may wish to promote health and healing with 528 hertz. Certain synthesizers can easily adjust to 528 hertz or other frequencies of the perfect circle of sound. Table 9 contains a chart showing the tuning adjustments for the perfect circle of sound. These were determined by Walton using tuning forks, Korg's chromatic tuner, and a Korg Oasis synthesizer. Phil Polizos, a keyboard player also researching the solfeggio, wrote about the Korg Oasis synthesizer in search type master tune and add plus 12 cents, or if the options is in hertz type, and select 443.06 hertz. When you do this, he reported, your keyboard tuning thereby includes 528 hertz frequencies. Other musicians have recommended setting the master tune option to 444 hertz. It's like a difference of like this much. They both do the same thing. It's hard to get that this type of master tuning. This is another discussion. Experiencing 528. G-Head is his name. I found by tuning my nylon guitar as suggested, the guitar is as much fun to play, but has a subtle energy resonance that is different. I will do some recording with a few instruments tuned that way and find some gongs to fit. My husband is a musician, recording artist, and we tuned his guitar to the 528 hertz frequency a few days ago. We both notice a deep resonance in our chest when he plays now. Pretty incredible discovery. He has recorded a couple of instrumentals in this frequency. We are very excited to see how this affects our audience. Dr. Horowitz said, that feeling in your chest when listening to 528 is common among spiritually sensitive audiophiles. Every time I listen to music played in 528, I get a breath release, much like a yawn, that instantly tells me the relaxation response has occurred. This happens whether or not I know the music is vibrating to 528 versus 741, which is 440 hertz, or not. So the placebo effect is not what we are experiencing when we feel the difference. This physiological relaxation response was studied many years ago by Harvard University professor Herbert Benson, who taught my postdoctoral behavioral medicine program. If you didn't know that, Dr. Horowitz went to Harvard. Benson studied Tibetan monks during deep meditative states. He measured their metabolic functions and learned their relaxation response was a big part of spiritual practice, but also related to hormonal changes associated with health and hastened healing. In musicology, the relaxation response is associated with ecstatic listen and a whole body tingling sensation called frisson. These professional terms are best used to technically describe the slight euphoric feeling people get when listening to music performed in 528 Hz, with 528 transposed music being less powerful than live performances in 528 tuning. But both 528 options are far better than standard tuning. An interesting 528/444 experiment. It's the next passage. To prove the power of certain frequencies to impact your physiology and experience, try this experiment, but only if you have access to a synthesizer with digital pitch adjustment capabilities. My 528 just went out of my monitors. There we go. This test was first done by Zion Estes, an avid acoustics and metaphysics investigator who worked with Michael Walton in preparation for the live H2O concert in 2009. They tuned to A equals 88.8 Hz that they figured out was harmonically related to 444 Hz. Is nearly identical to C5 at 528 Hz. That is 444 multiplied by 2 and got 888. So they selected 88.8 Hz for this tuning experiment. Immediately, when they began to play sequences in this frequency, it caused a profound spiraling audio experience for everyone listening. It seemed like the room was spinning. The sound seems to travel in a spiraling vortex around the room. 88.8 appears to generate an acoustic energy vortex. 88.0 did not generate this. I can stand behind this claim, as I also put 88.8 Hz in my music, and it interacts with 528. In my personal interpretation, I believe it creates a dimensional portal or vibrational portal inside the song, or environment, I guess, that the frequency is being played in. But we'll dive into this, and he'll explain that a little bit more. Indeed, 528 divided by 88 equals 6, a finite number. 528 divided by 88.888888, or 8 repeating, equals 5.94, another finite number. But something different happens mathematically that theoretically relates to the sound suddenly seeming to travel in a spiraling vortex around the room. So the first division was divided by 88.8 with like 10 zeros. This one is only divided by 88.8. So 528 divided by 88.8 equals 5.945945945945945 to infinity. The replicating sequence is 594. Basically, it creates an integer, but he'll continue to talk about that. In early analyses published on the internet, I showed how 594 was tied to ancient pi, which relates to the Fibonacci series of numbers and explains the spiral nature of the universe. This was just a thought that an infinite decimal sequence as a quotient, i.e. divisional result, between the numbers 528 and 88.8 correlates with the sound seeming to travel, or actually traveling in a spiraling vortex around the room. That theory, that this is an acoustic portal to an energy vortex, might be considered a bit of a stretch, but mathematically, it makes some sense. One could also look at the decimal sequence alone. Editor's note, the numbers suggest spiraling nines, as these add up to 9, both 9, and 4 plus 9 equals 9, and then 9 plus 9 is 18, and 1 plus 8 equals 9. I developed a math derivation on 945 being the replicating number or decimal sequence after the 5. When you divide 528 by 88.8, you can see 945 replicating. Previously, I determined that 944 was the value of the pyramid inch. This is very, very close to 945, and this finding reinforces the theory that the sacred geometry of the pyramid has a lot to do with the sound of cosmic energy and its impact on biology. Moving in next. Sorry, let me see this. Is there a meter or something? I can tell us the actual frequency of what we hear. I do not have a meter on this, but if you have a tuner on your phone, you can always check that. I have a meter on my computer, but not like available to show you. Notes on 528 for vocalists. 528 hertz is the third note, mi tone, of the original solfeggio scale. It is credited for miracles. Vocalists are best equipped to produce miracles, including miraculous healings. First, consider Jesus. He was credited for producing many miracles, for which he credited faith and love for God, and demonstrated both most compassionately for humanity. What made Jesus' heart connection to God so powerful? Acknowledging repetition here, hearts generally resonate this pure tone 528 hertz when you consider vortex math and the primary role 528 plays in universal construction and space-time measurements. The human heart chakra resonates the greenish-yellow color of 528. And 3, 528 seems to be at the heart of everything, such as the rainbow, the botanical world, and the primary energy transformer, chlorophyll. It is chlorophyll that feeds oxygen carrying 528 vibrating electrons to all of biology engaged in aerobic metabolism. Humans' hemoglobin is structured like chlorophyll. This iron-rich pigment is pumped via red blood cells through your heart, where it picks up the frequency vibration of your heart. This resonance energy connects your heart directly to God through this 528 hertz clear channel connection. Sorry. Remember, since the sun's sound too has been measured to be fundamentally 528 hertz, your blood oxygen carries electrons vibrating with love 528 hertz frequency from the sun. Breath is extremely important to vocalists. The ha, or breath of life, expressing joy and laughter, carries this 528 love, prana, or divine blessing of spiritual energy. Vocalists training to harmonize best with others exercise singing in the vocals. Jeez, I butchered that. I butchered that one. Vocalists training to harmonize best with others exercise singing the vowels A, E, I, O, and U. Singing these vowels in sequence repeatedly over and over again, like in a circle of sound, actually chants one of the names considered to be most holy, Yahweh. Try this for yourself. Say A, E, I, O, U again. That's a great question, actually, Emmett. I'm going to write that down. What other sensory stuff is associated with 528? It's a great question. Relating back to oxygen, the Hebrew holy name for God is spelled Yad-Hov-Veh-He, and I always butcher that. Meaning, to breathe is to exist, when literally translated to English. Thus, love, joy, faith, and bravery are heartfelt emotions carrying fundamentally the pure tone 528 hertz energy. Amplified by your lungs and the oxygen in your breath, faith in your heart is automatically increased with every breath. This is why deep breathing also helps best reduce fear and stress. This is also why top vocalists admit they commonly sing from their hearts, in love, to enhance their performing artistry. Singing is, in fact, the art of communing with God through a registered voice that is phase-locking your heart with God's heart. These important considerations should be addressed during vocal training. Honoring this knowledge can help you develop your sweetest, smoothest voice, vibrating vocal cords in the key of love using the breath of life. Further evidencing this thesis, Jonathan Goldman determined that the 528 Hz pure tone happens to be the natural frequency human voices make when the sound ah is chanted, as is demonstrated in his online Temple of Sacred Sound, which is templeofsacredsound.org. Many people conjecture that heartfelt loving intention empowers prayer, as does love, which is considered the universal healer. So sing with your heart's loving intention to have your voice heal people. The greatest divine communion possible in the process of channeling your vocal inspirations, musical composition, and live performances are optimally enabled by tuning to 528 Hz. For all of these reasons, recording artists can have greatest loving, joyful, and healing impact on audiences by tuning their instruments and voices to 528 Hz. Jesus produced miracles with his lips because he knew the kingdom of heaven is near. The heart of this estate, 528 love, is right here, right now, in your chest, awaiting your intention to produce miracles. You need not go looking for love when it is where you come from. This is why, for prosperity in all ways, including a fully blessed professional voice, Jesus prescribed seeking this heavenly kingdom first and foremost through your heart filled with love in 528 hertz. This quest for your inner voice of your heart always produces the best results. Finally, be proud of your voice. When singing, the diaphragm and chest wall muscles control the airflow. Position your posture straight with chest and shoulders proudly, proclaiming you are singing to God for the right reasons. Now we have kind of like another discussion. That would be cool if there was a frequency app. Yes, there would, and that's something that is on currently in the works. So this is 528 in diplomacy is forgiving. So this conversation is with an anonymous. I am a music producer and I want to contribute and start making music more in tune with the universe. I stumbled upon information about the Nazis and that they wanted to change the ISO standard to 440 in 1939. At the time they failed, but I believe in 1955 the elite finally pushed for the new ISO standard. I can understand the concept because I now know that everything in creation is energy with its vibrational frequency. All is coming from the true divine creator. The universe is one big orchestra, and every being has its own musical chord, like a fingerprint. The word chord is used in the word accord, meaning finding harmony between different persons, nations, or warring sides. All can be considered musical elements since everything sources from musical mathematics. Therefore, accords are best sought and exercised, selecting concordant attitudes and harmonic postures, generating generally good vibrations of love and forgiveness in 528 hertz. Peace and love through 528 is best sought and exercised during negotiations and reconciliations. In other words, 528 hertz music is probably the best vibration to listen to when sitting down to reach accords in politics, corporate negotiations, or your personal life. Next passage is 444 hertz, 528, and Jesus as the astrological sun. After learning that the musical note C5 set at 528 hertz translates to a 444 hertz, Simon Zipita, another contributor, emailed as follows. This is Zipita. I am not religious and have no expertise in this field, so please don't shoot me down for making an error. Constructive criticism is welcomed. Here are my notes. 444 hertz raised an octave is 888 hertz. Using the English gematria, 444 equals Jesus. And curiously, using the Greek gematria, 888 equals Jesus. Now, Jesus is said to be equal to the sun or the sun. The biblical story of Jesus, in my and many others' opinion, is a very clever metaphorical analogy of astronomical observance. I'm not saying Jesus didn't exist, nor that he didn't heal people. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I remain open-minded. Jesus dying on a cross and resurrecting 3 days later is astrologically explained as follows. Biblically, 3 kings followed the star in the east in order to find the Son of God. Jesus, born to the Virgin Mary in Bethlehem, dies on a cross, resurrects 3 days later, and ascends into heaven. Astrologically, the star in the east is Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. 3 kings are the brightest stars, 3 stars in Orion's belt. Orion's belt was known to the ancients as the 3 kings. On the 24th of December, Sirius aligns with these 3 stars and the point to the location of the sunrise on December 25th. This is why the 3 kings follow the star in the east to locate the sunrise, the birth of the sun. The Virgin Mary is the constellation Virgo, Latin for virgin. The ancient glyph for Virgo is the altered M, hence Mary in other cultures is Mira or Maya. Virgo is also referred to as the house of the bread or house of bread. Thus, representation of Virgo is a virgin holding a sheath of wheat. Likewise, Bethlehem literally translates to house of bread, the constellation. This corresponds with August and September, the time of the harvest. From summer solstice to winter solstice, the days get shorter. From the northern hemisphere, the sun appears to move south. Days are shorter and colder, symbolizing the process of death of the sun. December 22nd, the sun is at its lowest point. 22nd to 24th, the sun stops moving south for 3 days on the winter solstice. During this 3-day pause, the sun resides in the vicinity of the Southern Cross constellation. On the 25th, the sun moves 1 degree north, foreshadowing longer days, warmth, and spring, symbolizing life. So the sun stops moving for 3 days under the Southern Cross constellation, only to be resurrected or born again, moving north. And there you have it. This is why some might say Jesus equals the sun. 444 equals the sun. 440 hertz on my guitar using the solfeggio is E, or mi, as in do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. The mi, some say, stands for miracle. 444 equals Jesus equals miracles. How fitting. 444 is a harmonic of 528, universal frequency, which is C. An octave starts with C, end with C. Alpha and Omega. 444, Jesus, the sun, healing, and miracles, resonates with 528, universal energy, Alpha and Omega, God. Thus, my interpretation that you cannot reach God but through me is like you cannot reach 528 but through 444. John 4:44 provides more appropriate counsel, and he, Jesus, said, "The prophet is not honored in his own country." By the way, 444 is also the number given to John the Baptist, hence why I use this biblical reference. Think about it. A prophet is not honored in his own country, which is John 4:44. What happened to the solfeggio scale, to 528, to love? It was replaced. It was not honored. Jesus, or 444 hertz, was not honored. God has not been honored. Finally, Jesus was betrayed by Judas, who was paid off by the church, controlled by the Illuminati. This could also be referencing the Vatican and or the religious controllers' New World Order. In this context, 444 hertz was betrayed by the Antichrist, that is related to the mark of the beast, 666. Now try this experiment. Divide 444 by 666. It gives you 0.6666, repeating 8 times, repeating decimal rational number. But if you simply press the equal sign again, something very strange happens. You get 0.001001001001001. You also get 0.001 when you perform the same sequential operation, 528 divided by 66. You first get 7297 to infinity, and then the 0.001 iteration when you press the equal sign again. This discussion suggests the Illuminati's use of this musical mathematical hidden truth pertaining to 528, 444, religions, and corporate entities that use these newly discovered secret codes. Horowitz butts in to say, MI6, as mentioned in my previous lectures and writing, stands for 528 and Miracle 6, or Her Majesty's Secret Service, the British Gestapo. Zapata continues and says, or Zapata, in other words, if you divide love, 528 or 444, by 666, the mark of the beast, you get into secret codes exposing the top of the Illuminati through their most favored secret agent, 001. Those who control the music control the minds of the people. The Nazis advanced the international standard of tuning precisely to create disharmony. With music and more, they have led everyone away from the path of enlightenment. I'm just speculating here, friends. I'm not calling this a concrete opinion. It is merely an idea that today I started looking into. I had weird dreams last night that I can't remember now. I meditated on the Jesus solfeggio connection last night before I went to sleep. I woke up with the idea of doing a little digging. I'd be very interested in hearing replies to this post. It's the first time I've posted anything here, or anything regarding the whole subject of solfeggio, which I only recently found out about a week ago. I play the guitar for a living in Malawi, which is in Africa. I am from now on changing my tuning to A equals 444 hertz. I had a song wrote in England a year prior. I can't sing very well on A440. It's too high for me. I knew 444 was Jesus in English gematria, and I am a lover of coincidence. So I tried. The song sounded great, and I sang it, if I may say so myself, perfectly. It resonated inside of me. I had to sing a bit higher, but somehow it worked wonders. I also have a baby on the way due in November. I can't wait to bathe him or her in the glorious sounds of solfeggio. Anyone interested can reach him there. Simon Freddie Gates on Facebook. Check out this musical festival, the Lake of Stars Malawi International Musical Festival. I sort of know the organizers and want to make a push for 444, 528 inclusions. There's one of the fastest growing festivals in the world on the beach in Africa's third largest lake, Paradise. We need to expand this 528 H2O movement globally. Another blogger replied in support. The real return of Christ is a mass awakening, the rapture, a spiritual uplift. This is the fulfillment of his ministry and love mission. So I'm going to take a tiny break and say, just to go back, I know that was a lot, and I know that he kind of went into a lot of numbers here, but for those of you who are following along with that, and for those of you who know what is going on in 4 days on December 21st, this just broke down what is going to happen on December 21st and moving through those days. Not only what happened 2020 years ago, but what's also going to happen this year on December 21st, and how it's going to happen all astrologically, using numbers and also using 528 and 444. So I would recommend to go back and listen to what I just said as it goes over December 22nd, December 23rd, if that resonates with you. But that was just about December 21st. Continuing into another kind of blog post. So we're getting a lot of answers to questions here. If anybody does have questions about the things that I'm bringing up, feel free to leave those. I'll do my best to see them. I know these are kind of hard to follow. So corrections and miscellaneous 528 support. So this is writing in the Musicians 528 dialogue blog. Phil Polzoes said, I'm new to all this, but I've been into music and how to heal people and change lives through using it. 432 and 72 are tempos where 528 is frequency. So maybe the combination of both is the secret, or at least worth exploring. Indeed, combining the math of frequency and rhythm makes sense given the revelations in this book. Another blogger said, I'm an electronic music producer, and I saw your video about the sacred frequencies and how to tune instruments into those frequencies with Michael Walton. I tried using Apple Logic, the sequencer that I use normally, to tune it with those frequencies. I find a few points in which I'm not sure if I understood well of your explanations. One is to tune into 528, the C note. It is necessary to master tune the keyboard at A444 Hz and not, as Michael Walton explained in the video, at 443.009, I think it was. If you just master tune the keyboard either at 444 Hz or, as Michael said, at 443 Hz, the other notes never fall into the other frequencies of the sacred circle. Number 3, to be able to use all frequencies of the sacred circle, I tried to tune all notes on the keyboard different. So he tried to tune into each solfeggio frequency. This allows you to use all the frequencies together when you are playing, but it is very complicated and only the Logic audio instruments will work. I have an Access Virus TI synthesizer and only the master tune function is available and not the tuning of all the notes. Did I do something wrong or misunderstand the instructions? Dr. Horowitz says, well, you did the same thing wrong that Michael Walton did when he started, and you appear to have corrected Michael Walton's synthesizer settings, so thanks. A440 Hz makes more sense than A443.06, but the difference in test findings might have resulted from the fact that Walton used the 528 tuning fork struck at 1,000 feet above sea level in a humid climate in Hawaii. That could have attenuated the sound signal and caused the difference you're reporting. The only problem is that you constructed the perfect circle of sound scale that is quite interesting, like Walton did originally, but not melodic when played. We have been warning people about this. Again, the perfect circle of sound is not melodic as a scale, yet evidence argues the 9 tones are fundamental to universal construction as a musical mathematical matrix. In other words, God's music versus man's music may be melodically different, like 528 and 741 do not sound well together, their dissonance is a part of nature. The choice is yours, which one you feel most comfortable to your ears and heart. Keep up the great work. I think we're moving into more of a discussion now, or not discussion, but paragraphs. 528 and the speed of light. Mr. JP says, where can you find that? This is going to be, this is the book of 528. If you look on Amazon, it is, I think, $10. But we're also on YouTube as well, and we've been reading this book. This is the last bit of the book. So if you'd like to catch up on what we're reading, we have all those videos up on YouTube. 528 and the speed of light. Several bloggers deserve the world's thanks for revealing stunning relationships that had been missed by other researchers regarding the solfeggio frequencies, in particularly 528. Raphael, Just Jules, Tim Harada, and senior member Wiz Oz posted a fascinating discussion delving deeply into the relationships 528 shares with the other solfeggio numbers, including the complete 70-tune ordinal sequence extrapolated from the perfect circle of sound 9 solfeggio tones. Figures 59 and 60 graph some of their findings viewed online at this website. Relevant to 528 Hz, figure 59 provides a diagram of the distances measured from the Earth to the Moon. Wiz Oz, writing from Australia, posted on February 2nd, 2009. Note that the inscribed square is 31,680 miles. I recognized that the figure was similar to the solfa numbers, being the solfeggio numbers. Here's the kicker. 528 times 60 equals 31,680. Bear that in mind. 1 mile also is 5,280 feet. Then the 237,600 miles is equal to 528 times 450. Light takes such a short time, which is 0.00005 seconds, in fact, to travel 1 mile. To travel 31,680 miles, light takes 0.1584 seconds. Remember, the previous post is 417 plus 528 plus 639 is 1,584 divided by 3, and that's 528. So, for those of you on YouTube, if you can see my highlights, I'll repeat myself. I did not go looking for this, Oz concluded. It found me and triggered something off intuitively. Here, we now have direct geometric proof that the frequencies mentioned above have a relationship with our solar system. Oh, there's nothing. Where does this go? Is that... Okay, I guess there's no... That just is the end of the sentence. Here we now have direct geometric proof that the frequencies mentioned above have a relationship with our solar system. This dives into the Earth's parameter. This is actually pretty simple math. I would recommend anybody doing this. If you can look on your screen at what this is. This basically goes into define the Earth's perimeter, and in relation to moon, or the moon, sorry, can be broken down into 528. And really proves this. Without 528, the universe would not exist. Moving in to talk about i528tunes.com, the world's first music transposition service spreading 528 love. To anybody that would like to transpose their music into 528, this is the greatest service available, if not the only service available. The i528tunes.com website exclusively transposes your CDs, MP3, AAC, and MP4 files into 528 Hz frequency recordings in downloadable versions. The mission of i528tunes.com is to evolve and heal our planet musically. 528 Hz is revolutionizing the music industry and restoring humanity's original spirituality by playing and broadcasting the principal primordial frequency of creation, 528 love. By listening, performing, and recording in the key of love, 528 Hz, you too can engage this awesome transformation. And every time you do, it not only helps you, but like waves radiating out from a pebble thrown onto a pond, your 528 musical energy reaches the farthest hearts, developing a deeper understanding. This book reveals why standard tuning, A440 Hz, is an unhealthy, spiritually degrading, socially repressive imposition. Alternatively, 528 Hz, the miracle frequency, or Mi of the original solfeggio musical scale, is most preferred by nature and masterful musicians, especially for healing and the exponentially accelerating spiritual renaissance. In this 528 love revolution, i528tunes.com proudly serves 3 major functions and operates exclusively by suggested donations. The first of those functions is transposes your digital music files recorded in 440 to 528. 2, downloads your music from our 528 Love music library by clicking the Genres tab and selecting your preferred folders, albums, tracks. And 3, the third function, uploads music already recorded or transposed in 444 Hz or C equals 528 Hz to the Love 528 music library. This serves recording artists and their agents only, who receive 60% royalties on all donations made for their work. Artists or their agents create albums and select the appropriate genres folder into which their uploads go. Information for users. Many people prefer 528 Hz tuning, saying that it makes music more natural and pleasant. Frequency went out again. I gotta get back to my speaker. There we go. I'm gonna start that again. Many people prefer 528 Hz tuning, saying that it makes music more natural and pleasant. On this website, you can compare the 2 mentioned ways to tune instruments. The Love 528 music library grows by your donations of transposed music and by registered artist submissions. By using this music transposition website, users agree to donate their transposed music to the Love 528 music library to be shared with others by donation. You can download single tracks or albums. A little information for artists. The best, most powerful, spiritually uplifting, and healing way to record music is tuned to 528 Hz. That is the heart of light and love. If you are an artist performing in 528 Hz or have the idea to convert your tunes to 528 Hz, you are welcome to work with i528tunes.com. Registration as a musician is completely free. I would highly recommend checking that out. You don't think that link works anymore? It was working for me when I looked it up. You can either go to 528radio.com or 528records.com, and one of those links should be working and should get you to where you need to go. Wow. Well, that's it. We just have the about the author page and a half, and that is the book of 528. Wow. So I'm going to read this. I'm going to read the about the author because we're going to be interviewing him tomorrow to get a little bit more of a background so that we can ask him some more questions. Thank you to everybody who's here right now. I'm so appreciative of all of you here. If there's anything that popped up today or during this last kind of about the author, please leave a comment if you have a question, as again, we'll be interviewing him tomorrow. Wow. I'm going to read this about the author, and then I'm going to let myself freak out a little bit. Okay. About the author. Dr. Leonard G. Horowitz is an internationally known authority in the overlapping fields of public health, behavioral science, emerging diseases, and natural healing. Dr. Horowitz received his doctorate from Tufts University School of Dental Medicine in 1977. There, as a student and faculty member, he taught general and dental histology and graduated with honors and fellowship award in behavioral science at University of Rochester. He later earned a Master of Public Health degree from Harvard University, focused on media persuasion technologies, and a Master of Arts degree in health education, counseling, psychology from Beacon College, all before joining the research faculty at Harvard School of Dental Medicine to study psychosocial factors in oral health and disease prevention. For more than a quarter century, he has directed the nonprofit educational corporation, the that evolved into Tetrahedron LLC, which is tetrahedron.org. Dr. Horowitz's earlier books include the American bestseller Emerging Viruses, AIDS, and Ebola, Nature, Accident or Intentional. Now considered a medical classic, this publication earned Dr. Horowitz the Author of the Year award from World Natural Health Organization in 1999. The same year, he released Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse, which permanently expanded the field of musicology. Dr. Horowitz's second bestseller was Healing Celebrations, Miraculous Recoveries Through Ancient Scripture, Natural Medicine, and Modern Science in 2000. It provides practical information and advice for self-healing. In June 2001, 3 months before the terrorist attacks in 9/11, Dr. Horowitz released the prophetically titled, critically acclaimed book, Death in the Air, Globalism, Terrorism, and Toxic Warfare. This book summarized the leading global industrialists' effort to enslave humanity through toxicity and petrochemical pharmaceutical malfeasance. In his 2004 book, DNA, Pirates of the Sacred Spiral, reviewed the science and electrogenetics that speaks to humanity's fundamental spirituality. In 2006, Dr. Horowitz wrote another monumental book, Love, The Real Da Vinci Code, that presented the real Da Vinci Code based on the decryption of the Vitruvian man or woman drawing. The circle in the most famous Da Vinci image is this perfect circle of sound, according to Horowitz's research. Dr. Horowitz is also an award-winning filmmaker for having produced Pharmahorrors, The Showtime Sting of Penn and Teller, and In Lies We Trust, The CIA, Hollywood, and Bioterrorism, and The Love Code DVD. Aside from an active speaking schedule, Dr. Horowitz oversees the Creatives Rainbow Spa in the Kingdom of Heaven on the Big Island of Hawaii, where one of the world's most powerful natural healing resources, volcanically heated steam, is being used for healing and helping to explain divinity to humanity. To those of you who are watching on YouTube, here's some amazing resources. You can pause the screen if you'd like to look these up. I highly recommend checking out all of these. I think there's links on these websites that'll kind of click you around in background. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of the book of 528. And I'm going to take that off screen. Wow. Thank you all so much for coming in. Can I start over from page 1? Yes. Thank you. That's a great comment. Jesus, shout out to you. That is the exact comment I needed to see right now, because I will. Kidding. Wow. I don't really know what to say. This series kind of manifested out of nowhere last week. Shay, shout out to you if you're still here. Thank you for the inspiration to do this. Thank you for pulling it out of me. And shout out to everybody that's been watching in through here. Thank you to everybody who's live. Thank you to everybody who has been live over the last week and a half as we've read this. I'm so grateful to be able to have brought this light and downloads of 528 and knowledge to create this kind of morphic resonance of this knowledge being out there and easily accessible. To anybody who is watching this, that you felt there was a missing link in your kind of field of industry or your field of skills, field of expertise, I will go back and say what Dr. Horowitz said in this book is this realm of understanding is so primitive and so new. Dr. Horowitz is the pioneer of 528, and other people have talked about it, obviously, throughout the centuries, but to have it right on the nose, Dr. Horowitz is one of the first people, if not the first person, to speak the truth of what it is. So there's so much more expansion to happen in this field in every single industry, every single possible industry. There is so much more expansion that this frequency can bring. So if you are here and if you are inspired by whatever this book brought in whatever ways, whether that's music or not, whether it's politics, whether it's medical or vehicles, automobile, whatever that is, 528 will help that industry and is here to help that industry. And you are here potentially having that feeling inside of you of, what if 528 works well with this? That's what we're all here to bring. 528 is helping anchor in this fifth dimension, and all of us are here right now to hear this call and to bring it forward, to pay it forward, and to embody this as we bring this heart consciousness of 528 hertz to this planet. And I guess I just wanted to say that to everybody that is here. You are here for a reason. Although you are interested and maybe you're here to support me, or however you ended up here, you're here and you're hearing this information for an extremely divine reason. So whatever that manifests, I'm so excited to see all of this and so grateful to be some amount of a catalyst in this. So thank you all so much for being here, and please purchase this book or look into Dr. Horowitz, do more research on this, look into the solfeggio scales, listen to 528 music. If you're a musician, create 528 music, see what it does to you, see what it does to the things around you, see what it does to your life. If you are not a musician, please generate the 528 frequency using a signal generator, or like Dr. Horowitz said, I think he has one on love528.com of a 528 pure tone generator. Just generate that frequency in your environment like we have generating in the back right now in this video. See what it does to you. See what it does to your internal. See what it does to your external. Just try it. What could go wrong with what's going on in our world right now? So I guess I didn't mean to make it that way, but please, if there's anything that could have motivated you from this series, is just try 528. Just put it on, see what happens, see what you feel internally and externally. And I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so excited for tomorrow. Wow, I am so nervous for tomorrow, but I'm so grateful for everybody being here. And if you're going to tune in tomorrow, thank you so much. I got to do some prep work for sure, but I'm also going to do my best to give Dr. Horowitz just a place to speak, because I think I'm sure he has a lot more to share than he has already shared in this book, as this book is almost 10 years old now. But I will stop preaching. I will end all of this by saying something I've said in a previous video, that if you could ever learn anything from me, my function, and I guess by me I mean MI, or ME, but I think MI is all you need is 528. Thank you all so much for watching this. Thank you for being a part of the series. I love you all. I'll see you tomorrow for the interview of Dr. Leonard Horowitz. Okay, peace.